Welcome to Shave in Solitude. I hope all of you guys are doing really well. My name is Siraj. Today we are going to be talking about the Tatara razors. Now, Tatara as a word is a Japanese word. That is why I'm saying it in the way that the Japanese would probably say it. Tatara. Tatara is the furnace which was used to smelt the steel to make samurai swords. So this particular razor that we see, does it cut as well as a samurai sword? Well, I don't know how well a samurai sword cuts, but you know what I mean. So I don't own this razor. This razor is on loan from my dear friend Chris Smith. If you guys know Chris, he also goes by the name Lathered Yeti. And if you haven't checked out his channel, I don't know what you're doing. But let me go ahead. Let me put his link. And also, what Chris did is the Tatara razors do not come in this beautiful polished finish. Chris went ahead and actually polished his. So he put in like 7 to 8 hours of work. He was telling me to go ahead and get this polished. So it looks beautiful, absolutely. But before we get into the shave, let me take you guys through the razor specifications. And fair warning, guys, this is going to be a little long one. There is a lot that we need to talk about. So let's take a look at the Tatara close comb razor specifications. Now, the Tatara razors are made in Portugal since 2016. And you will notice what I've done over here is I've gone ahead and I've put the price of $202 plus $17.50 FedEx shipping, because this is the price on the Tatara website. You can also buy it from US retailers like the Razor Company, Razor Emporium. But there is a reason that I'm going ahead and I'm showing you guys this particular price, and I will get to it in just a moment. Now, the Tatara Masamune is the milder version. It very clearly shows from the blade gap of 0.63 millimeters. And what you need to keep in mind is that the blade exposure is a negative 0.13. Now, this comes with a shorter handle. So the overall weight is 85 grams and the height turns out to be 93.7 millimeters. The Tatara Nodachi is the one which has a bigger blade gap. So in place of 0.63, you get a 0.9 millimeters. The blade exposure is positive as well, which is 0.13. And then obviously, because it comes with a handle which is longer, it is 113 grams and 108 millimeters in height. Now, when I used both of these razors, my use case was I found that the Masamune did not cut my hair the way that I wanted it, and I struggled to get a BBS shave. It was close to it, but it wasn't perfect. So then, when I switched over to the Tatara Nodachi, that one has some bite, guys. Okay. It took all my technique in order to make sure that I don't cut myself. You can really feel the blade on that particular razor. In spite of doing everything, I still nicked myself every time that I shaved with this particular razor. So again, that's me. That is how I shave. I am not saying that my technique is perfect, but I just wanted you guys to know that don't go in blindly with the Tatara Nodachi, because it does require some amount of careful technique. So that being the case, what you can also do is mix and match the top cap and bottom cap of both these razors to create something new. For example, if you take the Masamune top cap and the Nodachi bottom cap, you will end up with a blade gap still of 0.9 millimeters. However, your blade exposure from a negative 0.13 is going to go down to negative 0.03, which is a lot better. In the similar way, if you use the Nodachi top cap and the Masamune bottom cap, your blade gap will remain the same, 0.63. However, your blade exposure will become neutral. So you can try these as well. What I'm going to be shaving with is this one, which is the slightly bigger blade gap and with a slightly negative blade exposure. Obviously, your weight and height will depend upon what is the handle that you choose. Now, the reason that I went ahead and I pulled the prices from the Tatara website is, now if you try to do this mix and match from US companies, you're going to end up spending a lot of money. Okay, if you buy a separate top cap, separate bottom cap, separate handle, your price just goes ahead and shoots up. However, if you go to the Tatara website directly, you will notice that over here you get an option where you can go ahead, you can select what parts you want. And like you see over here, the price is $202. The price of this mix and match razor does not change, which I think is phenomenal. So for example, let's go ahead and click on this. And I say, what material do you want to choose? Let's say stainless steel. What's the color of your razor? I like matte. Let's go with matte. So what cap should we go ahead and select? Like I was sharing with you guys, I prefer going with the Masamune top cap. So I will select this. And then I want the Nodachi bottom cap. So I will select this. And then these are the two handles. The one on the left, the shorter handle, if you can see over here, it says 89 millimeters in length, weighing 56 grams. This is what comes default with the Masamune. This is what comes default with the Nodachi. I don't know why they could not have this dotted pattern all the way till the end. I think that would have made perfect sense, but this is what you get. So let's say I want the slightly longer handle. So I will go ahead and I'll select this and finally say add to cart. When I do the add to cart, you will notice it added this to the cart. It's the same price as buying a default Masamune or a default Nodachi, and then you add the $17.50 in FedEx, and $220 is what you end up paying. Now, as you guys saw, it is very clear from the bottom cap point of view what cap you're using. It's very clearly given, Masamune over here, Nodachi over here. The problem is with the top cap. Again, for the life of me, I don't know why is it that they could not go ahead and type something out. But what you need to go ahead and see in case you have both the top caps is that the Nodachi has a longer thread of 10 millimeters. The Masamune has a shorter thread of 8 millimeters. And in case if you're looking at it, the size of the posts, the Nodachi has slightly smaller posts and the Masamune has slightly bigger ones. So finally coming back to the screen, so now you guys know why is it that I selected this particular price. Primarily if you want to do the mix and match. If you just want to pick up the Masamune or the Nodachi as is, you can definitely pick it up from US retailers. You will also be able to make use of any sales in case they have any Black Friday sales, they have 4th of July, Memorial Day. I think we have it really good. Many of these shops do go ahead and give us some kind of sale, so you'll be able to save a few bucks in that. Keep in mind in terms of the material used, it is stainless steel 303. Now, I did some research regarding the differences between stainless steel 303, 304, and 316. 303 is very good for CNC work. I think that's one of the main reasons that they went ahead and they chose this. The tolerances can be very, very tight. So just keep that in mind. One small thing about 303 stainless steel is that it has a tendency to tea stain. What I mean by tea stain is when you have left a wet razor blade in your razor, you haven't gone ahead and opened it up and cleaned it up after every shave, there can be some rust from the blade which can transfer over to the stainless steel. So please keep that in mind. But they use 303, and obviously, you also need to keep in mind that 316L stainless steel is best if you are looking for something which will resist corrosion. All right, having said that, now let's get back to the shave. So guys, we're back. As you saw, like I mentioned in the razor specifications, the default Masamune razor is too mild for the kind of shave that I'm looking for. And the default Nodachi is a little too much for me. Again, that's my specific use case. You might be able to get a great shave with it, but I just could not manage. So the next best thing that I went ahead and I spoke about is mixing and matching the top cap and bottom cap of both those particular razors. So although in the tech specs, I went ahead and I said that I'm just going to use the Masamune top cap with the Nodachi bottom cap. Chris went ahead and sent me both the top cap and bottom caps, as you can see, for the Masamune and the Nodachi. The handle that I have is just one, but I think for the purposes of everybody viewing this, I owe it to them to shave with both these combos to then give you my honest feedback in which one I think shaves better. So although I've got one handle, I'll keep on switching back and forth between both of these. One side I will use, on this side I will use the top cap of the Masamune with the bottom cap of the Nodachi, and on this side I will use the top cap of the Nodachi and the bottom cap of the Masamune. What I'll do is also I'll try to put a couple of text boxes over here on both the sides of the video so that you guys can see what I'm using at any given point of time. All right, that being said, let's load the blade. It's a simple 3-piece loading system, but I wanted you guys to take a look at one thing. Now you'll notice, and I mentioned this as well, this particular part of the handle, you notice it's a little thin. This particular part of the handle goes in all the way into the caps and plays a crucial role in clamping the blade. What that means is you can't just go ahead and swap out one of these handles into a handle of your choice. You have to specifically use the handles which are made by Tatara. So let me show you how much it goes in. So you guys can see over here, this entire portion that you see, right, the first little bit of the bend that you see, it'll go all in. So I don't have a blade in this right now, but I just wanted to show it to you guys. So you'll see that that entire portion went in completely. So please keep that in mind in case you're somebody who likes to swap handles to change the way that a particular razor feels in terms of balance point and weight and stuff like that. Unfortunately, you will not be able to do that with this particular razor. All right, so having said that, what are we going to use? In terms of the software today, we are using Glacial Frozen Tuxedo by Sterling. It's getting a little hot here in Dallas, and I thought a little bit of menthol is good, although I'm not a big fan of how it cools my face too much, but hey, once in a while is good. And for the blades, what we're going to use is two brand new Persona platinum blades. So I'm going to go ahead, get lathered up. I'm going to load the razor up and let's get started with the shave. And just so that you guys know, we're working with around 2 days of growth. All right, guys, we're ready to start the shave. On this side, I am shaving with the Masamune top cap and the Nodachi bottom cap. So this is going to give me a blade gap of 0.90 millimeters and a blade exposure of a negative 0.03 millimeters. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. Let's line up the sideburns and let's start. All right, let me switch over to the second side. So now we are using the top cap of the Nodachi and the bottom cap of the Masamune. This will give me a blade gap of 0.63 millimeters with a blade exposure of 0.00 neutral. All right, let's get started. All right, I'm going to wash up and then let's compare which side gave me a slightly closer shave. All right, we've washed up. Let's take a look. So I feel I got a slightly closer shave on this side, which had the Masamune top cap and the Nodachi bottom cap. All right, let's get ready for pass number 2. All right, let's begin with pass number 2 across the grain. Since I already have the razor set up for this side, let's do this side first and let's move to this side. All right, let's begin. All right, let's swap sides. All right, let's wash up and let's see whether any of the two sides is smoother than the other. All right, guys, we washed up. Let's take a look. You know, pretty much the same. I don't really see too much of a huge difference per se between both of them. All right, let's get ready for pass number 3 and see which one shaves better. So we're back, guys. The razor was already ready for this side, so let's go ahead and shave on this side first. Against the grain, pass number 3. All right, let's move over to the next side. All right, let's begin. All right, let me wash and then let's compare which side feels smoother. All right, we're back. Let's take a look. Honestly, guys, both sides feel pretty much the same. I don't see too much of a difference. I will say, though, that this side, which was the top cap of the Nodachi and the bottom cap of the Masamune, when I was shaving, this felt a little slightly easier to shave with rather than this side. That's the only thing. But let me do a quick cleanup pass, and then let's put the alum and see what's the feedback that we get. All right, we have finished the touch-up pass, and now let's put the alum to see whether we get any kind of feedback. Again, my little bit of the typical area. No, pretty good. Not really any feedback per se. All right, so I'm going to let this sit for 30 seconds, then wash off. And while I do that, let me take you guys through my subjective rating, and then we'll meet back to talk about my final thoughts. So now let's take a look at my subjective rating for this particular razor. So first and foremost, guys, what I want you guys to know is, for me, my baseline for a good score is 75. What I mean by that is, for everything, value, fit and finish, balance, and all of that, if I give everything a rating of good, the score that I'll get is a 75. Again, if it is something lower than 75, am I saying it's a bad razor? Not necessarily, but I would like for razors to hit this particular score for me to be able to recommend this to somebody. All right, so how do I go ahead and rate this razor? So let's take a look at value. So for value, paying 200 bucks, 220 bucks, I think the value is just okay. I mean, you have razors which are cheaper than this razor. For example, the Razor Raw Game Changer, which is selling for only around 60, 65 bucks. You have other razors like Maxwell Jones, which sell for 90 bucks. I mean, those are razors that I can mark a good or a great. $200 for a stainless steel razor. I mean, even the Rockwell 6S goes ahead and sells for $120. So for me, okay is what I give, because there are other high quality finished razors made of stainless steel which are around this particular price point. So okay is the rating that I've given. Fit and finish, I think, was great. I mean, obviously, apart from the fact that my friend Chris went ahead and polished this one to a shiny finish, that is not what you're going to get. But I think, in terms of tolerances, how the things fit, all that was great. I don't like the fact that you cannot swap out the handle of the razor because of the way that it clamps the blade. But apart from that, I would say it was finished really, really well. Balance was okay for me. Now, please keep in mind that the handle that I had was the shorter handle. Had I had the longer one, probably the balance point of the razor might have changed. I think it would have. But with the shorter handle, I think the razor is top heavy, and that is something that I don't like. So okay is the rating that I gave. I think it mowed down the hair quite well, given the mixed top cap and bottom cap that I used. I will separately also share, had I just rated the Masamune and Nodachi separately, what that score would have been. In the similar way, I didn't have too much of a post-shave, feel in terms of burning or alum biting too much. It was fine. It was good. So my overall score based on the hybrid razor that I used is a 70. Now, if I go ahead, if I was to rate it purely based on the regular specifications of the Masamune, I would rate that as a 62.5. Like I shared with you guys, it wasn't able to cut my hair very well. I was not able to get a BBS without a lot of work. And if it was the Nodachi, I would give it slightly higher, say 65. But like I said, with that particular razor, I had to be extremely careful because that razor, at least for me, does bite. So now that we've gone through my subjective rating, let me take you guys through my final thoughts. So let's talk about my final thoughts about the Tatara razors, guys. So as you guys saw, for me personally, the default Nodachi, the default Masamune didn't work for me. What did work, obviously, is this mix and match. And if I had to choose one of the two, I would go with the Nodachi top cap with the Masamune bottom cap. I felt it was just a tiny bit smoother than the second combo. Now, are these good razors? Yeah, I think they are good razors. They cut well. Should you buy it? If you'd like to, sure, you can go right ahead and you can. But the $200 space is a very, very crowded space. There are multiple options that one can get lesser than that. And within that $200 range, you also have things like the Goodfellas Libra, which I think for the same 225 gives you both the options in one razor. So you don't need to buy two razors or you don't need to buy a separate plate. So it's a crowded field regarding the $200 razor mark. There are multiple choices. For me, does this razor stand out that I want to go and buy it? Personally, no. But is it a bad razor? Absolutely not. I think it's a decent one. But like I said, please make sure that the Masamune and the Nodachi default setup works for you. So that's about it, guys. And Chris, thank you so much, my friend, for loaning this to me. And by the way, if you guys haven't checked out Chris's channels, so there are two people on YouTube that I rely on when it comes to making lathers. One is Chris and the other one is Nick Lopez from El Mascareno Shaves. I will link both of their channels under my video. And also, I don't know whether you guys know, Chris has started going ahead and making his own shave brushes, and they are phenomenal. So he does these multiple live sessions where he takes you guys through the entire process. It's just beautiful to watch. So if you guys do get the chance, subscribe, and whenever he's doing a live, go at least see how is it that it's done. It's just something new to learn. That's about it, guys. I hope that all of you guys are having a great week. I wish you all the best, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.